Hi, this is Todd Shank from Premier FPL. Finally coming back with another video here. I know I've been off for a little while. Got very busy with a lot of things at work and just wasn't able to get out a video. So, decided to try to do a video today for Game Week 24, getting ready for this weekend. Um, yeah, so I haven't actually been able to do a whole lot of prep time for this, so some of this is going to be a little bit on the fly, but still wanted to get something out there just to get ready for this game week. So here I do have my Fantasy Premier League fixtures planner pulled up here, so you can see what the fixtures are looking like for this weekend. I guess some of the key matchups to note here would be, of course, Man City at home. That looks like a very favorable match. But if we start here at the top, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace, that one, I should probably go back in and edit it and put that more in the gray category, considering the way Crystal Palace has been playing lately, as well as Arsenal just not really looking up for it in recent weeks. Who knows? Maybe the Sanchez ordeal will be resolved and things will more or less revert to normal for Arsenal. But I mean, really, well, actually, we can go over here and take a look at recent form for both teams. Crystal Palace is actually ahead of Arsenal on form. Both teams have 2 losses in their last 6, but Crystal Palace has an extra win in that time. So if you do want to take a look at that, Crystal Palace does have a little bit of an edge there. So would not be at all surprised by a draw. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised by any result in that one. So, but I would say that is a good one to look at both Arsenal and Crystal Palace picks. The one difficulty here, so I'm going to be going through and kind of looking at some of the injuries as well using PremierInjuries.com. So the one, I would say the big one here that's really going to hurt me is Ruben Loftus-Cheek is out. So I'm going to have to do some work as far as getting him out of my team. Same thing with Stephen Ward, since I have this pulled up here. But yeah, I guess the other ones, Punchin and Schlupp, have both been out for a while. So really, the big one is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. A lot of people have him in their team. Mamadou Sakho is another one that, I mean, he's been out for a little while, and he is ruled out again for this weekend. On Arsenal's side, really, it's only Olivier Giroud. Not that he's really been much of anything. Of course, Sanchez, if you have him in your team, well, actually, I'm going to get to Sanchez later on. So Mesut Ozil is the other one. He's listed at 75%. So just take a look at those. Make sure you keep up to date on what's going on there. Ozil hasn't exactly, I don't know, he hasn't really been that impressive to me. So, yeah, but you could take a look at, I mean, wait, honestly, I'm not really big on Arsenal players. They've been so hit or miss this season. Even them, they've scored 41 goals, so relatively decent there. But I would say Crystal Palace is probably the better one to go with, just because of their price. They allow you to bring in some of the bigger players from some other teams. Bournemouth and West Ham. Bournemouth is another team, been kind of middle of the table. Right here, their form has them dead middle of the table. So going up against West Ham. West Ham's actually up here in the upper end as far as form goes. They've been playing much better lately, and I think I would definitely lean more towards picking up some West Ham players. Just be careful who you're going with. If you want to take a look at Bournemouth, Joshua King is probably the big one to keep an eye on, whether or not he's going to be fit. I do have Callum Wilson in my team. I'm planning to start him. I think he is probably the best pick as far as Bournemouth players go right now. I mean, you could, well, go ahead, sort it here. You could always do Andrew Sermon in the midfield. 4.6 is, 5% ownership isn't too bad. Ake is another one that he was I think he was higher owned earlier in the season at 4.9. That's a little bit high. Definitely would rather have Daniels than Ake. Ibe is another one that has done well lately and there's a great differential at 0.6% ownership. So you want to go with Ibe or Wilson. I think those are probably your best bets there. As far as West Ham players go, so Marko Arnautovic is their top scorer, and he's one that I would think about bringing in. It's 7.0. It's a little bit high. Doesn't leave you a whole lot of room, but he is somebody that has been scoring goals. Manuel Lanzini is the other one that you could think about bringing in there. I would have said, well, actually, Kouate is actually listed 100% now. So Kouate is one that you might want to think about bringing in. Well, probably past him. Yeah, there he is. So he's brought in, pretty standard points, but has started in their last few matches here. And his score or his price tag at 5.0 isn't too bad. Definite differential with 0.4% ownership. So you want to think about some West Ham players that's who you might want to think about going with. Going on through Brighton, Chelsea, I definitely stack some Chelsea players in this one. Brighton, they might surprise people, get a result, get a goal, but I would definitely stick with Chelsea. People are pretty aware of which Chelsea players to have. I do have Alonso in my team and Hazard, so I'm going to be keeping them. I am steering clear of Morata, especially I believe he is actually out for this week because of his suspension. So Pedro and Morata both out for their suspensions. Ross Barkley is one. Well, yeah, as I said, it's here lacking match fitness. So I don't think he'll be coming in anytime soon. Brighton doesn't have much in the way of injuries, so you don't have to worry about that with them. So, all right, moving along. Like I said, stack Chelsea in that one. You want to go with a Brighton player, go for it. I think I had thought about having, I think, Dunk or Bong in my team because it says they're a lower priced option, but Brighton, they do have some decent fixtures coming up here in a couple of weeks, so that might be a better time to bring them in, not this weekend against Chelsea. If you have them, I would say keep them. No point in dropping them. Burnley and Manchester United. That's going to be an interesting one. On form, United, 12 points in their last 6. They had that 3 draws over the Christmas period. The last 2 matches have looked a lot better, whereas Burnley is actually at the bottom of the form table. 3 draws and 3 losses in their last 6. Even their losses haven't been necessarily terrible. I think, yeah, Man City, obviously they're going to lose that one. That was an FA Cup match anyway. But yeah, 1 goal in it, 2 draws here, which includes the 2-2 against Manchester United. But that did seem to be something of a turning point for them, where they gave up the 2 goals to United after they could have come away with a win. And since then have drawn away to Huddersfield. That one they probably should have seen as getting 3 points, and have lost their last 3 in all competitions since then. So the thing is, their home statistics are still very, very good. Looking at their last 6 at home puts them middle of the table. They lost their last 2 at home, but if we want to look at it overall here, they are again middle of the table. They have 5 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses at home. But I mean, honestly, in my predictions, I think I'm leaning towards Manchester United picking up a win in that one. It's just a matter of which players you want to bring in. If you do trust Burnley to hold on to a clean sheet, maybe pick up a 0-0 draw, you could stick with some of their players. One thing to keep an eye on for coming weeks is Tom Heaton. 25% for this weekend. I don't think he's coming back this weekend, probably not even next weekend, but look for him in the future that he could come back and replace. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. Well, he could come back into the team again. Robbie Brady's still out. Chris Wood may or may not be back. Stephen Ward, again, he's out injured. Doesn't look like he'll be back, so I definitely want to try to move him along in my own team. And then the other one is Matt Lowton, who just has not been playing. So I've actually been considering dropping Lowton and possibly even Ward and looking to bring in maybe me or Tarkovsky. Mainly because Burnley's fixtures do pick up a little bit here. They do still play Man City again in between, but for some of these other fixtures, I think I do want to go back to bringing in some Burnley players. I mean, their price tag is so low that it's hard to avoid them. All right, moving along, we already did Chelsea and Crystal Palace. Everton at home to West Brom is going to be an interesting one. West Brom finally picking up a win, so keeping them off of the bottom of the form table, actually moving them up to 14th here. They've looked a little bit better in recent weeks, just they're still not scoring goals. So I would say this is probably a better one to look at Everton players, especially with Theo Walcott coming in. I don't know if he'll start, but he might be a good one that might come in off of the bench, could impress. He might be a better pick for some of the daily fantasy, like Fantasy XL here. He might be a good one to pick up for that sort of format. Otherwise, I have Calvert-Lewin in here. I don't know. I'm not very happy with the way he's been playing. He's been subbed in the last few matches. I don't know how much playing time he's really going to be getting under Allardyce now. So I'm thinking he's another one I'm going to have to move along. So that might even make room for Theo Walcott. Although, actually, I think not. I'm pretty sure he is listed as a midfielder. So that would make it a little more difficult. But John Joe Kenny is a good one to have for your defense. His ownership is going up since he's been racking up points. But really, as far as their defense goes, probably the best one because of his price point. Aaron Lennon is going to be moving out, is what the rumors are. But so yeah, Theo Walcott is in midfield at 7.1. So you want to take a risk. I feel like he is a risk. He would be a risky differential at 0.8% ownership, but his price tag is pretty prohibitive because of his position. Maybe if he was a forward at 7.1, that would be a little bit better to look at. But as a midfielder, I think that's a little bit too much to really want to have him in there. Against West Brom, that's so hard. You could always, try to throw in a couple of their defenders. After all, that's where you get points from them. Their top 4 point scorers for this season are defensive, with Foster at the very top there. Now, I think that's saying a lot for this team. So, I mean, you want to take a chance on their defense, go for it. Otherwise, I would avoid West Brom. Again, they are differentials here. Pagazzi is the highest owned, but Evans is the one that got the goal in their match last week. So 1.6% ownership might be a good differential to go ahead with them. I did have West Brom open here. So Higazi is the only one that has a late fitness test, but it looks likely to be playing in that match. I don't think there's any major injuries here. Yeah, nothing really out of the ordinary for Everton. Oh, Michael Keane returning. It's just a matter of whether he'll be playing or not. If he is playing, he might be a decent one to go ahead and pick up. Okay, so next we have Huddersfield against Stoke. Honestly, that's a really tough call. Neither team has been very impressive. Stoke, third last on the form table only because of their win back in December, but have lost 3 in a row. That is not a good streak for them. Huddersfield's doing a little bit better, but still have lost their last 2 in a row. So, I don't know. It's kind of a 50-50, if you ask me. I'm going to stick with Schindler. I have him in my team. Seems like a match that could end 0-0. Could easily see Huddersfield come away with a win in that. Like I said, I have Schindler, 4.6. Zonka, I mean, basically the same thing there. I went with Schindler just because he has a lower selection rate there. I thought it was a little bit more of a differential On Stoke's side, Choupo-Moting and Shaqiri are definitely their high point scorers. It's just that they're so hit or miss. And I would say most of the time they've been a miss. Shaqiri, even in their win against... Oh, man. Yeah, sorry, it's going back a while before they had their win. Where was their win? Their win against West Brom. Even against West Brom, scored 2 points. So, I mean, yeah, he's at the top of their points there, but I would avoid him. You might want to. You could still stick with Choupo-Moting. He could come through again. Even Diouf up front. I had him for a little while, but dropped him because this is what he looks like: 2-2-2, 1-0, 1-1-1. Not enough. Just not doing it for me. So overall, you want to pick up Huddersfield players. I would say go for it just because of their price point. You want to take a chance. You could throw in Choupo-Moting or Diouf here, but honestly, I'm steering away from both of those teams. Leicester City against Watford. Watford, really hot start of the year, and now have really trailed off quite a bit. Even Richarlison, not really getting the job done in the past 2 matches, but I still have him in my team just because of his price point. Good downgrade to Decore as far as price goes, but he's one that's been getting the goals, getting the points in the recent weeks. But yeah, Watford down here. So they have 4 losses, a win, and a draw in their last 6 matches. Not very good. Leicester City, on the other hand, coming in on the back of a win and a draw. So I think I'm leaning more towards Leicester City players in this match just because of the way that Watford's been playing in recent weeks. And Leicester, I mean, it was a very hard-fought 0-0 against Chelsea last weekend. I really thought that Leicester had the better match there. They looked like they should have been the ones to score, but just just off a little bit. Weren't able to really put the ball in the back of the net. So, but they look good. So that's why I'm favoring Leicester City in that one, especially since they are at home. Liverpool and Swansea. Liverpool all the way. Nothing really impresses me about Swansea. Despite them actually getting a draw and a win in their, I guess 2 draws and a win in their last 6. Against Liverpool should run all over them. So I would say go with any Liverpool player, really. Could easily be a clean sheet. The thing is that they are away and they tend to give up goals when they're on the road. Already covered Man City. I mean, stack whoever you want with them. Manchester United against Burnley. Already covered them a little bit. Newcastle. You want to throw in some differentials. Maybe they might get a goal. But they're on the City's at home. I don't know. Don't see Newcastle scoring at all. All right, Southampton and Tottenham. Southampton has been terrible this season. Second to last in the form table. Actually picked up a draw last week somehow. Well, actually, mainly because I think that was a match that was rather controversial. Yeah, I don't know. If you want Southampton players, go for it. I would say Tadic is probably the best one. 1.6% is your differential there. He's looked a little bit better. I do have him in one of my draft leagues, so I trust him enough in a draft league because of the extra points he can pick up. And honestly, looking at his statistics in recent weeks, he might actually be a decent one to throw in there. At 6.2 is kind of borderline whether or not you want to make room for him. I mean, technically, I could probably make room for him in here, but I need to drop some of my dead weight with Loftus-Cheek and Ward, so that's why I'm not really doing a whole lot there. I guess I didn't do the City still has Gabriel Jesus out. Fabian Delph is the only other one. I don't know how many people actually have him in their fantasy team. United don't have any new injuries in there. Liverpool has just the late fitness test for Klavan and Salah. Salah is the big one to look at. Van Dijk looks like he should be back. Salah was out with an illness. I did see that he was training today. I think Klavan was also training today. So looks like they should be able to make it back in. I'm not planning to move anything with Salah. Again, Southampton and Tottenham. I would stick with Tottenham players in this one, but just because of the way, again, Tottenham's another one that's just been kind of hit or miss this year, but they do have 4 wins and a draw in their last 5. You have to go back a ways before their last loss. So definitely want to stack Tottenham players. Heung-min Son is probably the big one, other than Kane, if you want to put Eriksen in there. But I would take Son over Eriksen, Son over Ali, Son over just about anybody except for Kane. You want to throw in some of their wing backs, go for it as well. Okay, moving along. Stoke City we already did. Swansea, Tottenham, West Brom. Yeah, I think that covers everything. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about, well, maybe not the last thing. I think I do want to go over price changes, and then I'll go over. I think I'll wrap up with price changes. So first, I want to talk a little bit about Alexis Sanchez and this move to Manchester United. I think that is going to be beneficial for everybody involved, especially if Mkhitaryan leaves United. He has not looked good. I don't know if it has to do with, everybody talks about him being a confidence player, so maybe moving to work with Arsene Wenger will be enough to really push him back up to his potential again. If he does go to Arsenal, I think he is a big one to start to look at bringing in with that Arsenal attack. He could be a catalyst that team actually really needs to start getting the goals. Likewise with Sanchez, I think he could be a big catalyst for United in getting the goals that they need. And I'm thinking one of the big things that I'm thinking with Sanchez is that United really needs a player that can kind of like a match winner. They need a match winner in there, other than Jesse Lingard. They need a big name match winner, and I think Alexis Sanchez is that player. Now, 2.7% ownership. He really should probably have a lower price tag, but his 97 points already means that's why his price hasn't really dropped. Did not play last weekend. He is not going to play this weekend. The only reason to bring him in is to take advantage of his current price and looking ahead to a price rise. I do think that his price will go up if he goes to United. I think more people are going to start transferring him in. The other part of it is if he really starts to click with United, he is going to go up because people are going to start bringing him in if he starts to score. Yeah, so I'm actually thinking about clearing out room to bring in Sanchez. If not, well, I don't know if I'll be able to do it this week, but we'll probably try to move on him in the next week or two. Again, I'll have to take a look at exactly what I want to do. I haven't really thought it out thoroughly. But thinking through it, I think I have the transfers pulled up here. I do have 2 free transfers. Sorry. If I drop Loftus-Cheek, that gives me 5.1 in the bank. Now, to really make room for Sanchez, I'm going to have to drop one of my big price players, which would really leave it down to Hazard or Richarlison. Hazard or Sterling. I don't want to drop Salah. He's been far too hot. So if I did do something like Hazard and Loftus-Cheek, and then put Sanchez in there, doesn't give me a whole lot of wiggle room. I probably would have to take a hit and drop somebody else. Yeah, see, that's the kind of the big issue with moving Sanchez in, is that his price tag is so high. Yeah, and Martial in recent weeks, he's actually one. Going back to Manchester United, you want to look at some United players to bring in. Martial is a pretty decent one. He's moving up the ranks. His 8.0 is level here with Silva, and he's looked better in recent weeks. Now, the big one you probably want to look at doing is actually Jesse Lingard. If I can pull up Lingard, is here at 6.4. I mean, that would be doable if I did something like this with Richarlison and Loftus-Cheek out, could bring in Lingard and another player. Now, the issue with Lingard is right now he's doing well, but when will that drop off come? And add to it, when Sanchez comes in, will Lingard actually get any playing time at all? So it's a chance to take if you're going to bring in Lingard, or even if you already have him there. But yeah. So moving on here. This FPLstatistics.co.uk is one that I've started to use more recently. Here you can take a look at. I mean, it's a really nice. You can take a look at ownership percentages. I mean, some of the stuff you can use on the regular site, but I do like some of these other statistics that he throws in here that he's able to take a look at. So he has trends here. So players moving out and who's being brought in for them. Top 50, who the top 50 players might have. So yeah, something to take a look at. I'm not getting paid to promote him or anything. Just something that I came across. I mean, it's been a little while now, definitely over a month, probably even 2 or 3 months since I came across him, this site. So something you want to look at as far as price, especially the price changes, and at what point the prices do start to go up and who is going to be going up. So as you can see, Sanchez is kind of on the block here, as did it for, I think most recently was dropping. You can see going up, going down, etc. Anyway, so I think that really kind of wraps up this week. I will probably put out a Fantasy XL team this weekend. Not really going to take the time to do it now. Probably put one in later on today. You can always click on the link below to get signed up for them. As it says here, they're in beta software, but you can play for money on there as long as you're not in the US like me. So if you're anywhere else in the world, you want to go ahead and do a game for money, definitely recommend Fantasy XL. The other one you can always do is the draftfantasy.co.uk. If you want to get into draft fantasy, I do have a team there. I have a Play Taga team as well. And so I guess I didn't really go over my points for last week. I did quite well last week, 71 points, well above the average. The big issue for me now is I have so many template players that I might get big points, but so is everybody else, because I have guys like Kane, Salah, Hazard, Sterling, Alonso. These are all players that people already have. Trying to bring in a couple of other differentials with Schindler, Ogbonna, even Callum Wilson there, but yeah, I think the big issue here is my bench. Just too many injured players. I do have the green arrows, but yeah, I would really like to get back into the under top million there, but it's going to take some work trying to find some differentials in there. So anyway, hopefully I'll go over that a little bit more next week. Again, would really love the subscriptions. Subscriptions are the way to really build the channel here. Appreciate any comments you have. Leave me a like. You can always find me on Twitter at Premier FPL. And as always, wish you good luck and have fun.